This week we watched Weapons, written and directed by Zach Cregger.
Look, I initially was apprehensive with it because like we've spoken about this, my apprehension to modern horror because it tends to be a lot of gore and more like, hey, I'm gonna scare you as much as possible, more so than like making you like think or whatever as you're watching it. Um, with this, I found it was quite the opposite. Right? It is horror, but the horror only really picks in mostly near the end, like the last third of the movie. Like for the most part, I was like, dang, I want to figure out this mystery as well. And I thought it was and you only pick it up within the segment dealing with the principal. To be honest, that's when you realize, okay, this is it. It goes full blown horror in a way. Um, yeah, I thought it was really inventive. I thought the I want to say Zach Creeker did an amazing job, and once again, he's like we've talked about his verbatim with writers or directors or actors with a comedic background. He was originally with I don't know if you know about it, but a group called the Whitest Kids. Like it was a sketch comedy show, kind of like Workaholics and like or Lonely Island with Andy Samberg. It was one of those things. And I always say like people from like comedic backgrounds are like the like best creatives as far as like coming doing horror or drama in this industry. I love the non-linear storytelling use in this movie. I thought it helped aid the plot perfectly because you were always wondering where the plot was going with each narrative piece. So it's not until you see all the segments you can kind of put the whole story together, which I love. But yeah, it really did subvert my expectations for this movie. It really did.
I realized that it was the same director who directed Barbarian, and I remember when that came out, it was like everyone was like freaking out about it because you think you know where it's going, and then it has this kind of weird twist, and then it's like a hard cut to a different perspective. And I think people hadn't really seen a movie like that in a while, if ever, maybe in the horror genre. But Um, watching that was kind of a crazy experience. I will say I like this one a lot better than Barbarian. I feel like it's a much clearer narrative. It feels like it's kind of digging into some other stuff. And it does maybe not, maybe doesn't have like a point in terms of like an overall message that the director's trying to get across. But I do think that there's like little messages within it that I think is like relatable. It's really funny. I think that this movie is like really funny. I was laughing at multiple points in this movie. And I think when you have kids just doing crazy stuff, it always makes me laugh. So that was something. And the twist was so unexpected. Like I was not expecting that at all. Um, because there's like multiple twists. But I think that it's an interesting, I don't know. Look, it kind of felt like a movie that was like made or a movie that was made about like, I don't know, like the late, like, I don't know, 80s, like 90s. It felt like there was something in that time period of like when people like kept their doors open and when kids were just kind of allowed to like walk around. Like even like the kids just like walking around, like going to the grocery store, like there was something very Home Alone about it where it's like, why is this child just carrying around like bags of groceries? Like this is a child. Like why is no one suspecting anything? Like there, I don't know. There was like a surrealism about it that was interesting. But I also like that the supernatural stuff, like the horror stuff, like made sense. Because like in Barbarian, spoiler for those who haven't seen it, um, the creature that gets discovered in this house, it's like a product of inbreeding, but it has like superpowers and like super strength. Like it's very weird how that character turns out, and it doesn't make any sense because it's like, okay, well, you can be a product of inbreeding, but like, why? How do you have super strength? Like that doesn't make any sense, you know? So, and I liked in this movie that it's very like explicitly like witchcraft. Like that is the thing that's kind of driving these events, and so it kind of helped me buy into like what was going on. It didn't seem like jarring that like, oh, this stuff is happening. It's like, oh, okay, well then that's the explanation for like why everyone's like going crazy. But what I do love is that in this movie and in Barbarian, the police are always useless. Like to me, that felt very
Yeah.
yeah, accurate. It's like, oh, well, don't call them because they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Like, and then you mentioned stuff like referencing like, you mentioned like Last of Us in your comparison. To me, this reminds me very much in the vein of Stranger Things. You know,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That kind
Yeah,
of,
it's an homage to like 80s horror where stuff
yes.
happens in a small town and no one questions after the incident is resolved. Like I love that a lot. Like even though I'm even though I say it's weird, I'm commenting on the quirkiness because that was inherent with these 80s horror movies. Like, oh, this weird thing happened in like this one block of a town. Oh, it's resolved. Yay, we found the kids, and then that's it. You know, I love that, like the absurdity and stupidity of it.
That child actor is fantastic, by the way. He was excellent.
Yeah,
And all the performances were really great. That's the thing about this movie. Like, I love Julia Gardner. I'm so happy that I'm seeing her for the second time this summer. Like, she is fantastic. I love, well, not love, but I appreciate Josh Brolin, and I think he did a great job in this as well. And I haven't seen him outside of like Dune stuff in a while, so it was nice to see him here.
yeah,
Benedict Wong, maybe my Loki favorite. I think I thought he was great. He was like a scene stealer. Like every time he came up, I was like, "Yay, he's on screen!" Like I just think he was fantastic. He was so good, and I feel like all the performances were really great. I feel like technically how it was shot, I loved how it was shot. It was shot really like the camera just like literally following all of these characters around and how that like added to the horror like to an extent, like even in scenes that weren't supposed to be scary. Like there's a scene where Julia Gardner goes into the gas station, um stop and shop, whatever, and the guy that she's messing with, I guess her ex-boyfriend's wife, is like following her around and she like beats her down in the middle of the store, which was also funny.
yeah,
But like even the way that was shot, because it was kind of like, oh, is she also like under the spell too? Like you weren't sure yet
yeah.
because we were switching perspectives and stuff. Like I like how that technically how that like the cinematography how that added to the horror elements, and also the score was really great too.
The strongest point I see I have for non-linear storytelling is when you have a large ensemble cast, it gives everybody adequate time and it allows like multiple characters to interact. Like in this movie, we saw like three or four characters in scenes interacting with one per segment. Like they've all like had interactions with each other. And I think that's like for when you have like a large cast, like how Marvel cast used to have like five, six main characters. Like non-linear storytelling is like the perfect way to give adequate screen time and character dynamics and growth to everybody evenly. Like in the beginning when we saw Justine Gandy, the teacher, her car painted with the words witch on it. And then it goes to Josh Brolin and then he's like, "Oh, we got the wrong paint." And they're like, "Wait, who painted the car?" You can kind of inference that the reason why he overslept for work is because he took the paint.
Oh, I
Those kind
didn't
of
even get
things.
that.
Like those kind of tidbits I wish we could have actually seen because they didn't even show him like going painting the car. But you could inference like based on him having the paint that okay, he painted the car. That's why he woke up late, kind of thing. Um, so yeah, there are some things, due to the storytelling style that gets followed by the gap. But like you said, due to the characterization and hints we're given, we do get the full story. Like we can kind of tell, like, of course, Justine is a young teacher going above the natural expectation of a teacher, like hugging kids when they're sad, taking them home. Like most average teachers or tenured teachers who get stuck in the system don't function like that. You kind of really see it with younger teachers who are still idolized on being the perfect teacher. Of course, you see Josh Brolin's character with the Archer being a construction contractor, how also overworked he is as well. Of course, Aiden Reich's Paul, like we said, is a stupid cop. Um, so yeah, I think everybody you can kind of inference, even Benedict Wong, like when we cut to him and Gladys in his office, we see all his awards, all his ribbons. Like he is a perfectionist as a principal, but he also understands his role in protecting his teachers. Like Justine, like, all right, cool. You're here, you're a good teacher. You go beyond, you serve your purpose, but we have to kind of curtail that given the situation. Like you kind of can tell who people's are based on the set dressing and their minor interactions with it. Like so, and like particularly Josh Brolin's character, like you can tell he was closer to his son than his wife. He's more so he's even sleeping in the kid's room and shit. So you can kind of inference those character details based on what we're given to a certain degree.
And like the only reason I heard about it was like because people were saying like, "Oh my gosh, this movie is so good."
Hmm.
But it's like it's an original script, like it wasn't a part of any franchise or anything, and
Hmm.
there wasn't like a huge amount of press around it either. So the fact that like these type of movies like are really thriving like just purely from word of mouth, I think is actually really good
Yeah,
because it's doing fabulously in the box office. Like it's really doing well. So like I think that there is always going to be, I think even maybe now more than ever, like a desire for these like original stuff
yeah,
that like is different, is will challenge your viewpoints a little bit. I don't know, like just will give you something interesting to watch versus like something maybe that you are expecting. I think that there's like the market for that is probably growing.
yeah. Did you like that clip? Well, you can listen to the entire podcast because the 16 millimeter Film Crew podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.